Welcome back, bonus wifeys. Have you guys worried up yet? Of course not, that's why you're here. But don't worry, because neither have I. Let's get into this mess. This is season 3, episode 5, and yes, you did actually read that title correctly. Anyway, we're opening back up in Robyn's house and we're looking at Casper the ghost again, but we're picking out baby names, okay? And we do actually get some great names here. So, amongst the names, we get Kevin, Christopher, Jesse, and Derek. Grand names, all fine, fine names. And then we hear from Savannah, and Savannah wants to choose Rick, which I like. We also hear from Peyton, and Peyton wants Simon, but he wants Simon spelled with a C, so that's no longer Simon, that's Simon. So that's like if you can't pronounce the word cinnamon, you're going to get Simon, which I do. I appreciate that, okay? But that got me thinking about the other kids' names. Now, Janelle and Mary, they just chose regular names with regular spellings, okay? But Christine, right? Christine loves to add the letter Y where the letter Y has no business being. Like, even Isabel and Gwen got a Y in their names, so their names would be Isabel and Gwendolyn. That's how they're spelt, okay? I was also wondering, does anybody else find it difficult to pronounce Aurora? Because it's Aurora Brown. I think it's the O's and the R's like that I just find difficult, but that could be my accent. But anyway, we hear from Dayton, okay? Now, Dayton wants to name the baby Cleveland Brown, and I thought that is a great name. I want to name the baby Cleveland Brown, and I think that should stick. But then Cody is asking Robyn what does she want to name the baby, and then Robyn says, "We'll see." And I thought, why? Like, just tell them what you want to name the baby. Like, why are they keeping secrets? Because when we first met Christine, she told us that not only was she pregnant, okay, and having a girl, but she told us about Truly. Like, she told us that Truly was on the way. This is when, like, we literally first met, like, the whole family. So we knew, like, there was no secrets. Anyway, Cody and Robyn are going to a Burton class. Now, bear in mind, right? He has 13 children and she has 3. And I was wondering if they were paying for this because, like, it's such a waste of money, right? But Cody tells us that he took a birthing class 18 years ago, and I was wondering all kind of things. Like, where on earth was this birthing class? Who was given the class? And, like, did all the wives go? And what does it entail? Like, what did that birthing class for a polygamous person entail? I have so many questions about it. I will be honest though, I don't ever want to take a birthing class. I really, really don't. But Cody feels the need, like, to let us know how helpful he was when the wives were given birth. So he's basically like a super duper gynecologist kind of person. So we're in the birthing class and we meet Sherry Hopkins. Now Sherry is the midwife, okay? And I like Sherry, by the way. She's very Janelle Evans from Teen Mom. I don't know whether you guys watched that. But you remember like Teen Mom, Janelle when she had like the white feathers in her hair when she was going to like the Kesha concert. That's very much what we're getting here. And I do like that look, okay? So this is filmed between the sofa and the birthing class. And Robyn tells us that she felt like seniors going back to school who hadn't graduated, and then I was wondering, did she actually graduate from school? Like from an actual school? Like did she actually like go through secondary school and like, complete it and graduate it? I'd love to know that, okay? I'd love to know more about her. Now I am trying to decipher Cody's look here. I'm not quite sure what's going on with the hair, but there is a straggly piece on the side of it, and all I can see like when I'm looking at it is that straggly piece of hair, and it's driving me mad. But Robyn is telling us that she had a difficult marriage and she never had a strong male figure during her births. And I thought, Robyn, how dare you? Put some respect on stepdaddy. He is like the strongest of strong men. He is like so manly and such a great like male figure to you. Also, Robyn, you chose to have 3 children with David Preston Jessup. You chose that, okay? When you had premarital sex and you got knocked up with Dayton, who was like the biggest mistake of your life, you then chose to marry that guy. You chose to marry his father, and then you went on to have more kids with him. So that sounds like a you problem, love. You know, it really, really does. I'd love that guy to give an interview. I don't mean just like, his cousin or whatever, like telling us about it, although I do like that. But I'd love him to actually give an interview and talk us through like what the whole thing was like with Robyn. I'd love that. Anyway, we're meeting Naomi O'Callaghan, okay? Now she's what's called a childbirth educator. I don't know what that is, but I think it's some kind of a midwife, okay? I'm not really sure. And now Sherry and Naomi are telling us that they know polygamists and they feel like as long as you're looking after the children, like who cares, what they're doing. And I have to say, we do love the Sherry and the Naomis of the world, even with the Janelle Evans hair, okay? Even with that hair. So we find out that the family is going to a place called Loving in Wyoming. And it's their first time that Cody will be there, like openly as a polygamist. And they'll be attending this annual celebration of Mustang Days. I've never heard of that. So I think it's just like, I think it's just like a celebration in that area. So Cody is worried that some of the people will be upset. And I thought maybe they just don't want like a TLC camera crew, like, in their faces. But we're also going to meet some of Cody's high school friends that he said he hasn't seen in 20 years. Now, I'll be honest with you, if I haven't seen you in 20 years, you're not my friend. You're just like, you're just like a random person that I met like, 20 years ago. Anyway, the family is packing up, okay? And from the sofa, Cody tells us about his best friend, and that's how he describes him, right? So this was Cody's bestie, and his name is Ken Grant. And they were like best friends, not just in middle school, but also in high school. And we get some great pictures, okay? And Cody tells us about his mission trip, which is apparently like quite normal for Mormon boys. And holy Oedipus, I see that picture of Cody's mother, okay? And it's Robyn. It's Robyn like in another dimension. And we do know, of course, that Cody had that special relationship with his mummy, They like to smooch on the mouth. And then we see a picture of Cody with a trench coat. And I know that modern day Truly would absolutely love that. She would love that coat. I hope he still has it so like he can pass it down to her. And that I was also thinking, okay, did Cody have a nose job here? I was actually wondering about that, okay? Anyway, after the mission trip, Cody came home and joined a different religion because his parents thought that his dad should be out like banging other women. But apparently, Ken and Cody fell out over this. This is just absolutely crazy. Like, I can't imagine, my friend saying to me, like, I'm changing religion because my first thought is going to be, oh crap, like, I'm going to have to go to a ceremony. But then I'm gonna think like, okay, then what time have I to be there, right? Like I don't care if somebody is changing their religion or not. Like I didn't understand like why they fell out. But anyway, Cody says that they were estranged for 10 years, but that 8 years ago they started doing business together. And like, what business were they doing? Like, how did that conversation even start? Like, we haven't spoken to each other like for 10 years, but then like we'll just go into business together. I just thought that was wild. But Cody says he hopes that this trip will help them get over it. But I thought you're already over it because you guys are in business together. Now, this is filmed between the sofa and the family packing. And Christine says that there are some people in Wyoming that aren't friendly toward them. And I'm seeing all these cards being packed. Now it is a lot of stuff, okay? Because like obviously there's a lot of people. But then I noticed something. Cody is taking the goddamn Lexus. I thought, why? Like, why are you taking that? Space is at a premium here. And like, Christina's in this huge car with all these kids, and she's already telling the kids, right, that they've a long drive and to use their quiet vices. They've not to raise above two, okay? So she wants fairly quiet. And I thought, why is he taking like this stupid car? Because this trip, okay, is 16 hours. 16 hours. And like these women have all these kids. So we see the family on the road. And then I see Cody in the car, but like on his own. I thought, oh my God, dude. So anyway, apparently, this is a small town where everybody knows everybody's business. I actually know places like this. I think we all know places like this, okay? But anyway, this area is also like super Mormon. But I see this place, okay? This is not a small town. This place looks huge. Like it really, really looks huge, okay? And we see the Brown family ranch. And Cody says that he grew up on the ranch, that he was a wrestler and a mainstream Mormon, and that during his mission his parents converted. Now we have a bit of like the Charles Ingalls hair back again. And Cody says his parents were excommunicated, okay, and that his fate was changing. And we're seeing pictures of the ranch. So we're seeing Cody's mother, okay, bear with me, that's Granny Janelle. Okay, then we see Cody's father, that's Grandad Wynn. And then we see Granny Cheryl, okay? So that's Wynn's bonus wife, who's Janelle's mother, but also Cody's mother, and also Cody's mother in law. You gotta keep up. It's a family read, okay? Also, if you've made it this far, you're basically part of our family read, so you may as well go ahead and subscribe. So anyway, Cody's friends apparently like they weren't happy with this at all. Not having it. They were not down for this. And then just suddenly, okay, we're there, like we're in Lovell, and I thought, oh, we got no footage of the trip. But TLC like probably thought, that we couldn't cope with another Brown family trip. And quite honestly, they were probably right. But I would have loved to know like how long it took them. I would have loved to know that because this family is absolutely chaotic. So now we're meeting Ken, and I'll be honest with you, I don't like him, okay? I don't like him. And also, I know now why Cody brought this ridiculous car because he's putting like the roof down as Ken is walking over to him, and Ken has boats, as in multiple, okay? So these two are showing off. Now, I'm not a convertible fan, okay? I'm just not. They're not for me. My hair always gets wrecked, okay? And it's a feckin' nightmare trying to get the knots out. I see like, I see advertisements for convertibles and everybody always looks gorgeous in them, and their hair is just flowing. That's not real life, guys. That is not real life. You will look like you've been dragged through a hedge backwards. Like it's not a good look at all. It's really, really not, okay? But as we're meeting Ken, okay, he really gives off like an angry energy, okay? He's very Joe Dagger, but like the Pocket Rocket version, also with hair, okay? And I just absolutely know that this dude hates being shorter than Cody. I know it to be true, okay? So all the family are saying hi, and we meet a woman called Doris. I thought that was such an unusual name. Interesting yet unusual, all the things. But anyway, I do have to say, right, that Ken and Doris look like brother and sister. Now, I know everybody is thinking it, and I'm just saying it out loud. So Cody tells us that Ken is not very demonstrative, and I thought, what the hell, like, do you want him to do? Do you want to like pucker him to like pucker up his mouth like Aurora? You can't be everybody's daddy, Cody, But apparently, okay, the lack of affection is strange, and I thought, what the hell were these two up to on their Mormon mission? So anyway, the families are going boating, but Cody seems very confused, and I will be too, because nobody is giving like directions. There's not an awful lot of conversation going on. And Cody is saying, like, will I follow you? And I thought, well, you're hardly going to sit on his lap, Cody. Like, obviously, you're going to follow him. So this is filmed between the sofa and the trip, okay? But Cody says that Ken was sorting out the boats and that he was getting the food sorted out because he's still not sure what they're doing. And I thought, here's a suggestion for you, Cody. Just like ask. Just ask, like, what can I do to help you? Or is there anything I could do? Like, just ask. And we see Cody with the kids. Now we're being told that there's a storm coming, okay? But now we're with Ken Grant and his boats, okay? And like this guy is already taking shots at Cody because he's saying like, I don't know where he is, probably busy with his wives. And Ken says Cody has him doing all the work today, which is kind of true because then we see the Brown family and they're just like at the picnic table. Now Ken is telling us that Cody hasn't changed and that Cody loves the limelight. So he's not surprised that Cody went public with his lifestyle. So Cody walks down to Ken, okay, and asks if they're ready. And then I find out this dude has three boats. Like not two as I initially thought. He actually like has three boats. But apparently the storm is pretty bad. So they're gonna eat first now, I'll be honest with you, okay? This is a bad idea. Take her from someone, okay, who has been in a boat since I was knee high to a grasshopper, all right? Do not eat before you go out on the boat. Don't eat first. Just trust me on that one, okay? Just trust me, and you will save yourself a lot of trouble. But from the sofa, Janelle, who's looking very pretty here, by the way, Janelle is telling us that she's scared of thunderstorms. Now, I love a thunderstorm. It's just, it's different strokes for different folks, I guess. So Cody is being introduced to Ken's brothers. We do not get any name tags. But the brothers are Keith and Guy. Now, when we're meeting Keith and Guy, okay, we're also meeting their wives and we're also finding out that their wives are cousins, okay? And Cody says, like, so they're keeping it in the family. He's just kind of like making a joke. But like, Ken snaps at Cody, and he says, like, a little different than you are. And I thought, I hate this dude. Like, I really, really do. But Christian says that she likes Ken enough. That's what she says, right? But that he's not very open. So she doesn't like him. And neither do I, Christine, neither do I. But Ken's family are nice and very friendly. So Ken and Cody are heading down to the boats, and the wives are talking to the women from Ken's family. And this is filmed between the sofa and the picnic table. And Robyn says that women are always interested because they don't get it. But really, like, they don't know why you guys want to bang one guy when he can just bang whoever he wants to bang. I totally understand, like, where they're coming from, I do. I totally get that. And then we find out that the rotation between the wives' nights is very fluid. I thought that's an interesting choice of wording, okay? Also, why is Cody not sticking to the schedule that we're always hearing about? Like, it's supposed to be, every night, or sorry, every 4 nights, like, it rotates. So one woman, one night, and so on and so forth. So I don't understand like why we're doing this, okay? Which made me think he's just staying at Robin's now, right? I bet he's saying like that he has to stay there because she's pregnant. And then, right, one of these crazy, crazy women asked Janelle if she's a stay-at-home mother. Janelle is like, hell no, I work. But apparently Janelle has been working since she was 15. And I thought, Jesus, like, fair play to her. Now everybody is getting on the boats. But I did notice that not everybody has life jackets on. Oh my goodness, I would not have been allowed. Our boat wouldn't have moved like a millimeter if everybody didn't have their life jackets on. But I am blaming this on Ken because he is the owner of these boats. So I'm putting the blame on him. And we see the kids and they're having a great bit of crack, okay? I actually loved doing this as a kid. They're tubing and they're jumping off the rocks into the sea. I love seeing the kids like having a good time, okay? So everybody is finished up having fun and everybody is brought back to shore. And then Ken and Cody like go on a boat on their own. I think that these two had a bit of a special relationship. So Ken and Cody are talking, and Ken said that Cody's family was proselytizing and that the parents like knew Cody's parents. So Granddad Wayne was trying to like bang Ken's mother. I'm reading between the lines, but I'm believing it to be true. But apparently, like, Cody made a comment that he would like to be back in the LDS church. So I thought, was Cody already like regretting his choices? Anyway, I am about to get bothered, okay? Because Ken said that the LDS church gets a bad rap because of people like Cody, but that's not true, Ken. Like, Cody and the wives aren't the issue here, and you're just trying to be a bit of a cure and like sweeping things under the rug. Like, the LDS is very judgy, and you're talking to Cody and berating him here, so you're being like just as judgmental to him. But you don't want him to say anything toward you. And like the LDS church does have a problem with the L racism, Ken. You guys weren't very nice to people who weren't white. And like for such a long time, you only allowed people like to join in your church. Also, who's going to tell Ken like about the gay people? Because your church is still very unkind to all the queer people in the world. You don't like them people either. Sweet suffering Jesus. Don't mention the queers to Ken. Like there's billions of people on the earth and not all of them are going to be white and straight, Ken Grant. So don't go blaming this on Cody. This guy is a bully, and I really, really did want Cody like to stick up for himself and the wives here, but he's not. He's not. And he's trying to explain this bullying behavior away. And this just kind of broke my heart a little bit for Cody. Of all people, this broke my heart. Because Cody is saying, I just want to be friends, regardless of religion. Oh, I felt so sorry for him, like in this moment. I really, really did. Because this guy is not only being judgmental, but like he's also being a bully. And I don't like bullies. I don't like that kind of shit at all. But Ken does say that he's organized a get together with some of Cody's classmates and people he was friends with in school. And we're going to catch up with them at the reunion in our next recap. So this is season 3, episode 5, part 1. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, go ahead and hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great day.